Hey everybody, I'm Jacob Tolliver, and you're listening to So Booking Cool.
Welcome to So Booking Cool. I'm Jewel B. Today I'm so thrilled because our guest is a piano rocker, singer, actor who is currently opening for the legendary Jerry Lee Lewis. And Friday, November 16th, he and Jodie Sweetin of Full and Fuller House will release their rendition of Santa Baby. He is Jacob Tolliver. Hi Jacob, thank you for joining So Booking Cool today. Welcome, how are you doing?
Hey Joel, thanks for having me. I'm doing wonderfully, doing really well, and super excited to get this song out in a couple of days. It's been a real fun time, from start to finish, and it's kind of like my baby. Get to see the whole process. I'm really excited.
Yes, and I got to hear a sample of it. It sounds great. It's definitely going to be on my Christmas playlist. Like, it sounds really, really great. I love the beat, especially. I can't wait to hear the whole thing. What went into this collaboration, and how did it get started?
Well, it's funny, just through a chain of kind of friends of friends of friends, I slowly kind of found myself in the midst of the Full House family. And I know the cast really well, and the creator I know the best, Jeff Franklin, and he's one of my best friends. And so Jeff often hosts these just awesome parties at his house, and they're jam nights typically. He'll have a really nice dinner followed by a really nice jam night, like in his living room, and it'll be just the craziest of legends in his house, and it'll be the Beach Boys and Tom Jones are singing, or you just never know who's going to walk through the door. The Rolling Stones came one time. It's crazy. So naturally, I got to know Jodie really well from those parties, and she, during season one, they kind of found out that she had this hidden talent that she could sing, and so season one of Fuller House, that is. Mm-hmm. And so Jeff gave her a song in season one, and so she, at these parties, she would just kind of play around and sing a cute song here or there. She'd do These Boots Are Made for Walking, or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so finally, after a few of these parties, we talked to each other, and we're like, you know what, we should do, just play around and do a duet sometime. And so at the parties, we would just start doing things live, and we still do sometimes. So finally last year, I called her and I said, hey, what do you think about just us doing, releasing a song and doing a Christmas single? And she loved the idea. And so that's kind of how it all started, from just getting to know each other through a random Hollywood party that now is, a lot of the people there are like family.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
And would you say has been the approach to Santa Baby, which is such a popular Christmas classic?
Yeah, right. So it's kind of a cool mesh of two worlds, I would say. I'm very much naturally, I play kind of like an authentic 50s, 60s, 70s rock and roll style of piano. Very kind of abrasive rock and roll, and she's more pop leaning, just the way she just naturally sings. And so it's kind of a pretty relevant theme in pop music, within the last 5-10 years, of kind of blending retro sounds with modern beats and modern sounds. And, like Bruno Mars, or Michael Bublé, or Postmodern Jukebox, or Meghan Trainor, it's a pretty, a pretty relevant thing. And so with my kind of old school piano, we, blended my ragtime, my rock and roll kind of licks, and made the kind of this cool retro pop version of Santa Baby. And funny enough, I shouldn't admit it, but it's probably my least favorite Christmas song, or it was.
Okay.
I've always dreaded the song, but it was just, I don't know, for some reason it just stuck out to me like, this is the perfect song for us. And it really is. And like, I absolutely love the song now. I could, I listen to it all the time. She sounds so good, and it fits her to a T, and it fits me really well. And it's cool to see how my style can be blended into pop, and I'm really, really happy with it.
And you're a really, really talented guy. I want to know what led you to, because I know that you did look up to Jerry Lee Lewis, aka The Killer. He was one of your musical influences. And by the way, you got to play him, right, on tour, like in Las Vegas?
Yeah. I was in a show in Las Vegas for 4 years called $1 Million Quartet. It's a play. It was on Broadway and in Chicago, and it was on tour as well as Vegas. And so I was in the Vegas production, and was there 4 years in that show. And so, kind of through that and a whole bunch of other things, I slowly got to know Jerry, and so that's how kind of led to me getting to open for him now. But to answer the first half of your question, what led me to start doing this? It's funny enough, it was me cleaning my room. I took piano lessons when I was in third grade, and I hated it. It was awful to me. It was very proper, and you had to read the music, and there was nothing about it I liked. And so about 9 months of that, the piano teacher, she was great. She just passed away. She was one of the greatest piano teachers in our community for years. I mean, I think she was probably 85 years old when I was going to her in third grade. And she went to my parents, and she said, "I just don't think he's right for this. I think you may be just wasting your money." And so my parents took me out of piano lessons, and I was more than happy with that because I just dreaded them. And because I would always tell her I wanted to play the fun stuff, and she was teaching me the proper way. She was teaching me scales and things that I didn't care to do. Mm-hmm. And so I gave up for about 5 years. And one day I was cleaning my bedroom, and I was about, I guess I was 13, 14 years old. And after I gave up piano lessons, I put my keyboard under my bed. And so when I was cleaning my room 5 years later, I decided to really kind of deep clean under my bed. So I pulled everything out, and there was the keyboard, and I thought, what the heck, I'll plug it in. And so I plugged it in, and I just start naturally playing really cool stuff. The first thing I started doing was just kind of a rock and roll type blues bass line. Just a my dad's walking through the house, and he pokes his head into my room, and he's like, "Was that you?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Don't stop that. You're onto something." And at that point, I didn't know who any of the kind of the piano legends were. I didn't know who Jerry Lee Lewis was. I didn't know who Little Richard was. I knew of Elton John. I didn't know his music really. And I just naturally started playing like that, without an influence. And in about 3 months time, I pretty much had what I have today as far as talent. Maybe there were things that I knew I wanted to do, but I just didn't have the capability or the muscle memory yet. But I knew, I understood the keyboard enough in 3 months to understand it how I understand it now. I mean, there are still things that I want to do, I just can't do yet. But pretty much in 3 months' time, I was playing like I play now. And about 6 months into my playing, my parents finally, this was, right as YouTube was coming up, and they were not hip to YouTube. So they called the radio station, and after I'd been playing for about 6 months, they requested a radio station play Great Balls of Fire by Jerry Lee Lewis. And when I heard it, I remember that night, I was just like, wow, this is crazy. This is what I'm doing. And it just kind of blew my world away. Like, wow, this is, I'm on this path already. And, here's this guy who is just such a fire in him. It's so cool. And so from that point, I started doing my homework and, started learning about Jerry and Little Richard and Elton John, all the guys. And that's kind of how I kind of got into it.
That is an amazing story, Jacob.
It's crazy.
Do you think that it all makes sense now, like having the lessons originally and not really being into it because it just was a style that didn't really appeal to you? But do you think it all, like looking back, do you think it makes sense now?
Yeah, of course. Some people if you read music, you're a mathematical mind. It's quarter notes, it's half notes, it's 16th notes. You're counting measures. It's all math. It's not natural. What I have is a God-given talent, and it just pours out of me. And so you can't teach that, and you can't force one or the other. If it comes, it comes. And she realized that. The piano teacher realized that. I mean, she knew I was playing by ear a lot, and that's how she could tell I wasn't doing well, because what would happen, I would read, it was very simple stuff. It was like Mary Had a Little Lamb with One Finger, but in a week's time, I would have jazzed it up, and I wasn't reading anymore. I was slowly reading back then. I would count the lines, and I was reading enough to get through the page, and then I would never look at it again, and my ear would take over. So by the time the next week came around, I was jazzing up Mary Had a Little Lamb, and of course she knew because she was reading the page. So she recognized my talent, but our talents just didn't align. You could place any piece of sheet music in front of her, whether it's Mozart, Beethoven, you name it. Put it in front of her, and she'll sight read it right in front of you. And I couldn't do that more than the man in the moon.
So within those 3 months that you got really, really good at it, how often were you playing the piano? Was it like every day? What was your schedule?
Pretty much any time I could ditch class, I would go down to the music room and bug my middle school music choir teacher, Sonia Thompson. And I'd go in there and I just play as much as I could, and then I'd go back to the next class and hurry up with my work and try to finish as quickly as possible, and then get back to the music room. And I did this, I guess, from middle school on through the rest of my schooling, all through the rest of high school. My goal every day was finish work, get to the music room. And so that was during school. And then, of course, when I got home, at first, I only had my keyboard, and so I would play the keyboard as much as I could. But it could, kind of, I don't know, as a piano player, it kind of takes away the fun if you're playing a keyboard. So, it's really fun to play a piano. So my neighbors had a piano, so I'd go over to my neighbors and play until I drove them nuts, and then they'd say, "All right, Jacob, you gotta go home." and then that's when I'd go and play my keyboard, and then I'd play pretty much until Mom or Dad would come out saying, "All right, it's enough. You gotta go to bed. You're keeping us up." and then I would wake up, 6 a.m, and go to school, and I would play until I was ready to get on the bus and go to school.
Wow. So did you start making a name for yourself?
Yeah, pretty quickly. I and not intentionally, it just started happening. I had a friend who was kind of tech savvy for a 8th grader or freshman, and he really wanted to get some stuff up on of me up on YouTube, and so he would take videos of me in our choir room playing the piano after school, or whenever there was a break period or something that we could kind of get on the piano and play around. And so he was putting up videos, and slowly those videos would get shared to the local radio guys, and then they would have me on the air, and that's how actually $1 Million Quartet got a hold of me. They found a video of me, and I was a month away from going to Ohio State to study I was going to major in public relations. And because I couldn't read music, I can't read music, so I thought, well, it'd be a death sentence if I were to go to college for music, because it would be all music theory and it'd be awful. So I thought, all right, well, maybe I'll sneak into entertainment through the back door and, be a PR guy for, I don't know, a musician, or for a musical, or a band, something, and somehow, kind of sneak in that way. But, thankfully I didn't have to do that. A month before I started Ohio State, I get a message on YouTube from a casting company in Vegas saying, "Hey, we want to fly you out for an audition." And so that's how $1 Million Quartet happened.
Wow. And then at what point did you, because you were on American Idol season 14.
Right. And that was in the middle of $1 Million Quartet. That was right in the middle. And the same thing happened. I had another video that went crazy viral. It was me in a hardware store in my hometown, and this thing went like thousands of shares in like less than 24 hours. And now I mean, it's a few years old. I think it's up to 1.6 million shares.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even know how many views because Facebook didn't count the views back then. But that video went so viral. Some people within American Idol reached out to me wanting me to audition. And so that's how that happened. And that's really the reason how I got to know Jerry as well, because people kept posting this video onto Jerry's wife's Facebook page. And so she reached out to me finally one day after getting bombarded with this video so many times, and just sent a really nice note to me saying, "Hey, honey, just would like you to know that the Killer and I think you're great. Keep up the good work." And
wow.
And we just slowly kept in touch, and then became really, really great friends. And now they're like family to me. I'm spending Thanksgiving dinner with them.
Oh, with Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. What have you learned from him, and is there anything that you continue to learn from Jerry?
Yeah, it's I get asked this a lot, and it's really hard to put into words. Only somebody that gets the keyboard like we do in the way that we do would really get it. And I don't really know words for it, but I just watching him play, I usually stand behind him in the wings when he's on stage, and I just watch his hands go, and never once have I walked out of a show of his not having new knowledge. I always learn something. First and foremost at the piano, and there's always, I can't think of any instance off the top of my head. There's so many, but there's always some kind of funny showbiz tale or showbiz, some kind of funny story that maybe it's not learning, but it's great stories, kind of like a grandfather telling their grandson, kind of in a kind of that kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
But
anything that you can share, like a story?
If
you don't want to, that's fine.
No, it's just trying to think of one.
Okay.
Here's a good one the other day. One of his number one country songs back in the late 60s, Another Place, Another Time. He was telling me how, so Jerry the man truly is a genius. I wish I had this capability. He can hear a song once, and he can go to the piano, play it, and know all the words by only hearing it once. Which is just crazy. I mean, I can play by ear, but I just can't memorize all of that at once. I don't have a photographic memory like that. He was telling me how the songwriter, he was in the studio doing a recording session for a new album, and the songwriter comes in and pitches him a song, Another Place, Another Time. And the songwriter, just played it on his guitar or something, I think, or maybe popped in a tape or something, I'm not sure. But some kind of demo to Jerry. And Jerry kind of, he's telling me, he said, I thought, who in the world is he to bring me a song like this? He thought it was an awful song. And so he goes into the recording room kind of in jest and starts playing the song, and halfway through it hits him. Like, he thinks, man, this is a great song. And so he owns the song, and it became a very, very successful hit for him. And so it was that take that was the number one. The first take, after he heard it once from somebody just playing it one time for him, he goes in and nails it. And that's, I believe, and I don't know if I'm quite right on this, but I'm pretty sure that's the song that brought him back, because he was in rock and roll heavily, in the 50s, early 60s, and then in the mid 60s, he kind of faded away. Music was changing, and he came back strong in the country charts in the late 60s. And I believe that's the song that did it. And it was all a song that he thought was horrible to start with. And, of course now he loves it, but I don't know, just amazing stories like that. I mean, he's full of them like that. It's crazy. The guy's truly, He's a genius. He's one of a kind. He's just, you feel like you're in the presence of almost like a unicorn. It's like they don't make them like that.
Yeah, because Jacob, I love this as well, because you do hear, they say idols become your rivals or something like that, or you never want to meet your idols. So like it's wonderful that like it's been a positive experience with you and Jerry Lee Lewis, you know?
Yeah. I've had some scenarios where it is just that, you know, you are disappointed by your heroes, or, you know, by some kind of influence, and it's been just completely the total opposite. And he sees it. He knows I love this music like he does. You know, I'm not faking it. I'm not imitating it. It's just, you know, it is what I am that, right? And, you know, he obviously out of anybody has the best barometer for that music and rock and roll. And I mean, the guy invented it. And so
Right.
he, you know, I think he respects that. And, you know, he's 83. And so he's at the point in his life where, you know, I think he loves to see somebody wanting to keep it alive and keep it going, because, you know, it is really great music. And, you know, no matter what age you are, if you hear that music, you know, it's great. I mean, will an 18-year-old go out and buy it? You know, maybe not. But when they hear it, you know, if you're at a dance or something and let's say Johnny Be Good comes on, you know, everybody starts dancing because it's really fun. People love that music. It makes people happy. It makes people dance. It's, you know, makes you move. It's really fun music. So it's great music to keep alive. And, you know, my goal is not to copy it, just to, you know, keep it on a trajectory of, you know, progressing through time. You know, it doesn't need to be copying. It just needs to keep going, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of my goal and what I will do.
I know I can't keep you too long. I do have just like 3 more questions or so that I'd like to squeeze in. Oh, by the way, did you see the Queen movie, or is there any interest in it? Like,
Bohemian Rhapsody?
Yeah.
Yeah, the band, the one that just came
band.
out, Bohemian Rhapsody. Yeah, great movie. I loved it. I would go see it again in a heartbeat. I saw it the night it came out, and it was really incredibly done. I think most everybody's, you know, raving about it. Really, really well done. The guy nails Freddie Mercury. It's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, I have to see that. I haven't gotten to see that one yet.
Yeah, do yourself a favor. Go. It's wonderful.
Okay. Well, so I want to know your thoughts on mentorship. Then, have you gotten to mentor anyone yet? Do you see yourself doing it if you haven't already?
You know, it's a weird thing. You know, it's with this style. I mean, you can kind of guide people and you can show them licks and kind of help them. It's one of those things, unless you have it, you know, you either have it or you don't. And if you have it, you don't need mentorship. You know, it's like Jerry never sits down at the piano and shows me anything, you know, which I would love. It'd be awesome. But, yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to it. Of course, you know, I guess I just never know what kind of situations will come up over the course of my lifetime. But yeah, I don't know, you know, I would, I guess, if it were right and felt right. But, you know, you can't just take a person off the street and start mentoring them. It just doesn't work that way, you know, because then it becomes fake. You know, it becomes kind of like what reading music is to me. You know, it's just notes on a page. It's not from a heart. You know, it's just fake. Oh. It's, you know, it's imitation rather than actual creation. Mm-hmm. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it does. So, but if you did like come across someone who's like, wow, I really like Jacob, I admire you. You're so talented, and you know, I just look up to you. Basically, like what Jerry Lee Lewis sees in you, you know. Like,
right. Yeah. And if I saw that in somebody, you know, if I saw, you know, what Jerry sees in me, I saw in somebody, and you know, they ever wanted advice, of course, yeah, I'd definitely be there to help them, because again, this music is really wonderful, and anytime you can keep it alive, the better. So yeah, for sure.
Are there any books that you like? Any authors?
Peter Guralnick's a good one. Very good music writer. I'm actually in the middle of a book right now of his about Sam Phillips, who he was the kind of the pioneer of rock and roll. He's the guy that recorded Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis and Johnny Cash and all of these, you know, the guys that created rock and roll. So it's a book about him. It's called I think it's called The Man Who Invented Rock and Roll. It's just about his whole career. And yeah, so I'm in the middle of that book right now, and he's really, really good. He's done tons of like music biographies. He's done I don't know, pretty much if there's a, if you're a big name, he's done a biography on you in the music business. He's really good.
Okay, yeah, that's one of my favorite genres ever, music biographies. So, can we expect a visual for a Santa Baby?
By visual, you mean
Like
music video?
Yeah, music video.
If I had the budget.
Okay.
Probably not. I'm going to say not this year anyway.
Yeah, there's time. Yeah.
I would never rule it out because the beauty of a Christmas song is it comes around every year. So
Yes.
that is the cool thing with a Christmas song. It's not just a one time, it's not a one and done thing like a normal song. You can promote it and push it every year. So maybe one day that'd be great. I would love that.
Yes, I would love that as well. Jacob Tolliver, everyone. Jacob, thank you so much for hanging out with So Booking Cool today. It was such a pleasure. I would love to have you again in the future.
Absolutely. Would love to. Thank you, Jill.
Yeah, of course. No problem. And let everyone know how they can keep up with you. And, Santa Baby comes out everywhere November the 16th, right? Friday?
Right. Yeah. So Santa Baby will be on all downloadable platforms on Friday. And then you just search Santa Baby, Jodie Sweetin, Jacob Tolliver, and it'll be there. To follow me, all my handles are just my name, Jacob Tolliver. Tolliver is Tolliver.
And any final thoughts, Jacob? Because I always welcome my guests if they have anything else to say.
Oh, I don't think so. I think we've covered everything really quickly too.
Yes, we did. A great person to talk to. Thank you to all the listeners, and until next time, So Booking Cool.